Violent protests outside the Democratic National Committee's Washington headquarters, forcing top House Democrats to be evacuated from the building. The demonstration calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, it escalated rapidly, with protesters shoving police and grabbing onto metal barricades as officers moved to make arrests. About 10 members of Congress, including House Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries, House Democratic Whip Katherine Clark, and number 3 Democrat Pete Aguilar, were all inside before being escorted from the area. CNN's Gabe Cohen joins us now. Gabe, this looked like it was getting out of control last night. What more do we know this morning?
Yeah, I mean, Phil, you can see from the video just how intense this clash was outside the DNC headquarters between Capitol Police and around 150 protesters from these progressive Jewish organizations that for weeks now have been leading these ceasefire protests across the country. And look, organizers told me they had planned to block entrances to the DNC building, and they wanted to force those Democratic members of Congress, including the leadership, the names you mentioned, Jeffries, Clark, and Aguilar, to walk out in front of them and be confronted by protesters with chants and with calls for a ceasefire in Gaza. But this scene really intensified. It blew up before we even got to that point, and those members of Congress had to be urgently evacuated from the building. And you can see why these physical altercations between police and protesters, those protesters in many cases locked arm in arm in front of the building, being pried away from it. And now the two sides, police and these protest groups, are really pointing fingers at each other, blaming the other for escalating the situation. Capitol Police tweeting overnight saying 6 officers were treated for injuries ranging from minor cuts to being pepper sprayed to being punched. One person had to be arrested for assault on an officer, and they write, quote, "We appreciate our officers who kept these illegal and violent protesters back and protected everyone in the area." Now, the protest groups telling a very different story. A statement from one of those groups, If Not Now, reads, quote, "Protesters non-violently blocked one entrance to the DNC headquarters. Police violently attacked them, causing over 90 injuries, including being pepper sprayed, minor cuts, and dragged by the hair." And look, Phil, to give you a little context here, these progressive groups, If Not Now, as well as Jewish Voice for Peace, as I mentioned, they've been organizing these ceasefire protests for weeks now. We've seen them shut down Grand Central Station in New York. They've blocked entrances to the White House. They've occupied the rotunda in a building on Capitol Hill. Hundreds of them have been arrested. But having talked to many of these organizers and witnessed these protests up close, those arrests were always part of the plan. It was supposed to be peaceful civil disobedience. We have not seen any clashes like this up to this point, and we know it came one day after the March for Israel, that massive rally in downtown Washington. So we're seeing, obviously, rhetoric escalating on both sides here, leading to what we saw last night.